Welcome to this episode of the Growthcast. It is me, Jackson Campbell, joined with Dallas Pruitt for another extended cut episode. We are excited for this one. We're going to kind of be reviewing a couple of things. It's going to be awesome. We're actually going to talk about those two episodes that Dallas dropped. Sorry, let me pull them back up. The Habits for Guaranteed Success, part 1 and 2. We're going to kind of review that and kind of pull out some major actionables from those two episodes. I'm excited about it. I'm excited to dive in. But before we dive in, before we start, just a reminder for those of you that may be new to the podcast, that may just be tuning in for the first time, Monday through Thursday, we've got Dallas Pruitt dropping mindset drips, daily mindset drips, anywhere from 3 to 10 minute long episodes where Dallas does a quick mindset drip to get our mindset right for the day. Tune in for those episodes. Very powerful and a great way to start your day. Friday is when I sit down with Tyler Deveraux and I interview him about a certain topic. A lot of the times it's real estate revolved. We obviously always dive into the mindset side of things because that's one of the biggest parts to doing multifamily real estate, is having the mindset to be able to push through those hard things and those hard challenges. That's what we talk about on Friday. And then on Saturday, Dallas and I sit down and I have the opportunity to ask Dallas some questions rather than Dallas putting together content. We get a little bit of an opportunity to kind of dig a little deeper and get to know a little bit more of these topics. So, Dallas, how are you this morning?
Dude, I'm doing good. I'm on here with you. We get to dive deep today. I'm great, man.
Good, man. I guess it's not morning over there anymore, is it?
Yeah, it's afternoon. We're looking at noon almost. So the time difference, we're getting there. You're up early.
It
Jackson,
is.
People don't know this about you, but he rolls in here super early so we can get these recordings in. You know, I mean, I think maybe sometimes we think that, we come into the office together, or that we're on the same, even like remotely the same time zone. And we're just not, Hawaii time's a lot different than Utah time. And we make it work. We're flexible. We can.
We're actually going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about we're going to talk about systems and in creating habits. So that's actually what we're going to dive in today. And I'd love to talk about how I feel like I'm able to be flexible and change those systems and kind of come in early and do these things, and the mindset that has to come with that. So I'm excited to dive in, dude. Let's dive in. So this past week, you dropped 2 episodes and talked about some success principles and habits for guaranteed success. And I wanted to talk to you, Dale. I wanted to ask you, what are your top 3 habits? You listed a lot of habits, but if you had to go throughout your day, dude, what are your top 3 habits that you have to do every day that benefit you the most? I know it's kind of loaded, and I don't know if you could pick 3.
I'll start with one. I will start with 1 and then tie it back the other 3. So we'll do 4. Just this is kind of like the foundational system, I guess, for all success. I feel like that I've had as a entrepreneur. Once I decided to kind of like dive into the entrepreneurial world and grow my business and be a good dad and be, all these things that I want to be at a high level. And then I'll talk about 3 from the list that have been most impactful. Is that cool?
Yeah, let's do it.
So WTM, you guys are so sick of me saying that.
No way.
Winning the morning and designing my morning to best impact all these areas that I want to thrive in as a parent, as a business owner, myself, right? Like master myself, my physical health, like everything. I've become I've built quite the concoction in my morning routine. And so as far as crucial system for me that I feel like I can't even function if I don't follow through, is my morning routine. And I obviously simplify that thing depending on where I'm at, what's required, what the day is bringing down the pipeline, because not every day looks the exact same, and I don't have the exact same amount of time every single day. But I always will find a way to win the morning and address those most important parts of my life and myself, and my priorities. And so reading, working out, eating something healthy, supplementing my diet with something, quiet time, like all those things that all encompassing it within my winning the morning routine, like foundational for me and all my success.
And that's been foundational. I love how you use that as foundational, because you build the rest of your day and the rest of the things off how you start the morning, dude. And that's something I've really realized too, is putting in that system that's going to benefit you. And one thing that I've noticed too, Dal, that I kind of want to touch base on here real quick is my routine's much different than your routine. Much different than your routine. There's not a set routine for everybody that's going to work. That's going to work for everybody, right? I don't know what time you get up, but I get up at 4. I get up at 4 a.m. And honestly, my first 20 minutes looks like waking up, if I'm being completely honest. Sitting there, kind of like trying to get myself awake, trying to get the blood going. You know what I mean? So it's like our morning routines are going to look a lot different, but mine's mine and mine's Dallas.
And it changes.
And what the important part is having one, right? Is knowing that you need to have some sort of morning routine to start your day, to have that foundation for your day. Yeah.
I used to be right in the boat with you where I would wake up at 4. Mine was 4:15 and get rolling. I no longer wake up at 4:15. We've addressed this before, that it's not about the time, but it's about what you do, how you're proactive, how you set yourself up for success, not sex, but success, right? I mean, maybe depending on if that's part of your winning the morning routine, but you have to be proactive, and you have to, it also has to be adjustable, right? Like as you grow, as you change, as things change. And so now I get up more like 5:15, not 4:15. And it's just what is going on now. You know, things look similar, things look same, but there are things that look different. And again, it's all rooted in like, what are my priorities? What am I working on? What's my focus? And making the most. Rest is also a factor for me, bro. Like I have a freaking, newborn. Yeah. And so I get, and I have other kids. And so getting to bed late than what I used to when I was younger and I didn't have as much going on, it's changed. And so flexibility, dude. But regardless, like be flexible, win your morning, get your priorities in check, be strategic, right? Growth is strategic. It happens by design, not by luck. So.
Absolutely. Okay. So that's your main one. That's the main.
Yeah, I would say like that's foundation. Yeah, that's like core foundation, because I integrate so many things into my morning routine.
Into that morning routine, that's a habit. You can't really say top 3 out of that. But yeah, so what would your top 3 be outside of that?
Let's come back to the list. Let's talk about these systems that we talked about that guarantee you success in life. And if I was to come back to the list, I would say one of them, and this is in no particular order, but one of them is my ability to not be a slave. I gave the example that it was from Ryan Holiday, one of my favorite authors, one of your favorite authors. We freaking love Stoicism. He is a stud. And shout
out Ryan Holiday.
But he jumped. His quote goes something like, or this story from him: on an ordinary afternoon in 1949, the physicist Richard Feynman was going about his business, and when he felt he needed to have a pull on a drink. I love this example. He said, not an intense craving by any means, but it was a disconcerting desire for alcohol. And then on the spot, Feynman gave up drinking right then and there. Nothing he felt should have that kind of power over him. At the core idea of self-mastery is an instinctive reaction against anything that masters us. And I think that there's a billion different types of alcohol for us out there right now. And, my skill set has grown over time. I was not always great at this. I think that's an important point here. When I first started and like recognized that this was something that I struggled with, but wanted to get better in the initial stages, I wasn't great, but I've done things strategically, tactics, implemented certain systems, other systems into my day that have helped me to get better. The phone, I bring up the phone one a lot, but there's plenty of other distractions, dude. The freaking TV in general, media as a whole, food, alcohol, whatever, dude, whatever it is. It is all challenging. And if you aren't conscious and careful and live by design the way we talk about and teach and train on all the time, and try to refocus ourselves on as a company and as individuals that play a part in that whole, dude, you will be a slave. You will be a slave. But people don't view it that way. I think even like just adopting the perspective that like I am a slave to those things changed a lot for me. Like literally just recognizing that I am a slave. I have no control. I am powerless, dude. That was enough to like fuel me to want to do something different.
So dude, there's an actionable right there from that habit. Figure out what you may be enslaved to. What is it that you're addicted to? What is it that you keep coming back to, and figure it out? I love that, dude. Love that. And creating a system to where you can always be auditing those things as well, right? To always be looking at those things. You know what I mean? Always be looking at those those things that might be pulling you away from your actual purpose. Realize what it is. Are you enslaved by it? Meaning, is it pulling you? Are you addicted to it? You know what I mean? So yeah. I love
we need to add that word and that habit to the list there. Be an auditor. You do need to audit your life regularly, dude. Like, it's a good word.
What is it?
It's a very good word.
You do, like, what is it? And one of the biggest things about like growth, and as we talk about growth mindset that I've learned too, dude, is like, and something that Tides really helped me understand is everything comes in seasons. Meaning, like, you do need to audit things, dude. Like, you do need to like check your systems. You have to check the things that are pulling you away from what's important. You have to keep an eye on those things constantly. Yep.
It's
because life's just always evolving and always changing. You're always growing. So there's going to be new distractions. There's going to be new different things that you have to be paying attention to. So I think that's really important as we look at this too,
mindset,
right? You have your morning. Yeah, totally.
So many people, the opposite is, or like the regular is like, work hard and then take a break, work hard, take a break. And it's like, no, the whole break factor and like checking out, you can't really afford to like check out. You can't check out entirely. Can you rest? Yes. Can you recalibrate when you rest? Yes. Relax, like that's how it should look. But like even the language that you use with yourself, it's going to impact, or the way you think about that process is going to impact your ability to not be a slave in the future. And so I think even just weeding out that idea or that sense of like, oh, I've worked hard, I've hit this, and so like I'm just going to take a break. And it's like, what do you mean take a break? Like life doesn't take a break. Problems don't take a break. You've got to manage your load. You've got to audit. You've got to like get into a different mentality,
So. And even when you are taking a break, dude, we've talked about this on the Growthcast too. Even when you are like taking that time to rest, it's purposeful. You're doing it to rest so that you can go back to your purpose, what you're fighting for, what it is that you're trying to attack or obtain or whatever you're trying to do. Absolutely. With more energy and more focus and more, you know what I mean? And just more drive there. So that's, awesome. Okay. Sorry. We kind of went down a little track there. So,
let's go. Let's go to the second one. And again, no particular order, not a hierarchy. But feeding the 1%. I used the wording this past week, something along the lines of make a little progress each day, or carving out small wins every day. Hemingway was an author that I referenced, and he said the first draft of anything is shit. And I just agree 1,000%. Who cares? Who cares as long as you're making some progress? And when I learned about the aggregation of marginal gains and that story of the Great Britain cycling team, when I read that story for the first time, and the way that that coach came in, I think it was Sir David Butler or something like that, came in and basically told the team to quit worrying about going to the Olympics and winning a gold medal, to know that was just part of the game here, and to really hone it, reel it back and focus in on like, what are we changing up right now? What are we focusing on right now? How are we going to make some micro adjustments to all the little areas that contribute to the big picture, so that we can actually make progress now? I just like remember being a mirror and going, holy crap, like I've never thought about my life that way. Like I've never like looked at, and going back in time, creating a journal, training, leadership teams, creating courses, and all the things that I do now in my business. I never thought of it that way. It was like, that'd be a bitchin' thing to go do. Like, that's a cool idea. Right. And then it was like, once I heard about the aggregation of marginal gains, it was like, oh, that's like way out there and I can get there. But like, am I even doing anything right now that's going to contribute to that, other than thinking about it and thinking of how cool an idea it is, and looking for like cheat codes and ways that I can just get there super fast? Like, are you really working on earning and becoming and enduring through all the things that are coming down the pipeline that you're not aware of? Because you're at the very simple level right now. You have a cool idea. Sweet. What are you going to do about it? And this aggregation of marginal gains, or this mentality that it got me into learning about it, of like, oh, every single day, all I got to do is get 1% better in all these areas. That's it. I don't need to get 100% better. I don't need to get 80% better. And I might get like 2.5% better or 10, who knows, but it doesn't really matter. Those big jumps will happen as they happen. All that matters is that I get a little fraction of a bit better today. And that's how the compounding effect works. It was just like, oh my gosh, I can pretty much do whatever the hell I can muster my mind up to, as long as it's realistic, right? Like within my skill set and like, there's a realistic factor, but like I can pretty much go build or do anything I want to. It just takes a lot of time, and it requires this type of mentality, right?
It's hard work.
Shaped my life. It shaped my life. It shaped everything. I approach every day this way.
Like, dude, the way that you're talking about this right now, we're talking about the top 3 habits. The habit that I hear here while you're talking about this is hard work, dude. Learn the habit of working hard every single day. And making a little bit of progress every single day. Sometimes that 1% progress that you make might be the most amount of work you've put in the week just to make that 1% gain, right? Sometimes that's how it works, unfortunately, but that's just what it is. But it's just the importance of working at your business every single day and working hard and doing those things and the compounding effect that it has. And like something that I am a big, firm believer in is momentum.
Yeah. You're
working on something, dude. Even if it's a 0.5%, you're still gaining that momentum. You know what I mean? You're still pushing forward. Yeah. And you're still like snowballing effect, whatever.
I want to flip it back to you. Okay. So I'm going to interject. So what you're talking about is those moments that you work really hard on something for a long period of time, right? Like what you're alluding to basically there in one word is like a breakthrough. That's what produces a breakthrough, right? Like you have this breakthrough. So I wanted to like flip it back and maybe have you go just a little bit deep before we touch on the very last one. And that is if you can just be open with the audience, like you've been trying to tackle this health journey of yours for a while. Like this is not like a nuance, right? Like you've been very aware of this for quite some time. Ever since I've known you. I've known you for 2 years, and from the very get-go, like in learning how to navigate you and then building our relationship, like it's almost been right out of the gate. It's like, man, I really want to do this, or and like we've learned more about each other as time's gone on, and I freaking have gained nothing but respect for you in this journey. But like, what you are where you are now because you've had a breakthrough. Yeah. And it really is this change in thought process or mentality that goes, we were talking before we recorded. I don't want to steal the powerful point. And I'm not trying to steal thunder, but Jackson and I were talking, and it's just like, he was saying how on yesterday's episode, if you're listening to today, it's Saturday, Friday, Aloha Friday, Jackson said, hey, my goal this week is I want to go to the gym 7 times. This past week, I went 5. That's more than you've ever done, right?
Yeah.
What I want to point out about this mentality and what has happened that I know Jackson is very aware of because we just talked about this is Jackson no longer says, man, you know what I want to do? I want to look a certain way, or I want to lose X amount of pounds, or his goal literally revolves around feeding a system. He literally just basically said is like, all I want to do is wake up and be consistent.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Because you know what will happen if you're consistent.
Because dude, you put in the work. It's trusting that process, right? You put in the work, you're going to see the outcome. Yeah, dude. And I think it's like, if I'll take it even a level deeper, Dal, if you're okay with it.
That's what I want.
I'll be very transparent, dude. I've been, ever since we really started the Growthcast, dude, I remember talking about it on one of our first episodes about how I have this goal and this desire to reverse my health and get my health back to right and lose weight, right? I remember being transparent about that, and that made me feeling really uncomfortable the first time we talked about it. So it's kind of fun to be now to the point that we're at, and I don't care. I'll talk about it, and hopefully somebody can gain something from it.
You better talk about it. You're posting pictures every morning with our accountability group, so
right,
you better be feeling good.
So one of the things that I've learned most about this is I have put on an ungodly amount of weight over the past 5 years since I've been married. I got fat and happy, whatever. I've put on not a healthy amount of weight. Like I've put on a lot of weight. We don't need to get into numbers, but that amount of weight that I put on gave me a bunch of stress, dude. Like, I'm just going to break it way down to you guys. It gave me a bunch of stress, gave me a bunch of anxiety. And that anxiety and stress actually ended up prohibiting me from taking the actions that I needed to take to get my health back on track and actually obtain that goal that I want to do, that I wanted to achieve. So as I've learned through this and as I've realized, dude, it's like, just quit worrying about down the road, dude. Like, I have a lot of weight to lose. I know it's going to take me a while. It took me 5 years to put it on. It's going to take me the rest of my life to change these habits and continue to be diligent with this new lifestyle. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, dude, you pay attention to your next step, dude. When I was so stressed and had so much anxiety be about, oh, I've told everybody I want to lose this weight. Now I got to get in the gym and actually lose this weight and like show everybody that I actually can do what the fuck I'm talking about. Right. That's like the stress and the anxiety that I was feeling, and it prohibited me. But it's really like listening to Dallas and learning from Dallas to Dallas. I give you a huge shout out and huge kudos, and Tyler as well. It's really like learning. It's all about your next step. It's all about the next step. It's all about figuring out. For what I figured out is getting to the gym. I figured out the time that works for me. I figured out the system that works for me. And now my goal is to complete that system every morning. That system that I put into place. Take a step. Do the system, because I know if I do that every single day, it's going to have this compounding effect. It's going to become easier to eat better. Like all of these other things are going to just compound and get better because I'm following the system. Yes, I have this goal that I want to lose X amount of pounds. Sure, that's great. It's down the road. It's the lighthouse. But the system that I have in place right now is what's going to get me there. So that's where my focus needs to be. Is honing in that system. Dude, it's funny you asked me this, dude, because I'm just remembering right now. I was talking with Ty in the gym today, and Ty, we were just kind of talking about our workouts, talking about getting it. And it's like, dude, I figured out how to be consistent. Now, when I'm in the gym, I have to really be strategic, right? Figure out your system, figure out what works for you, and then take it a level deeper and be strategic within that system to make sure you're maximizing every moment in whatever system it is that you're doing. All of your energy, your focus, you're maximizing that. And that's kind of what I've learned, dude, in this whole process is, dude, it's like focus on the system that's going to get you there, not necessarily where you're trying to go.
Yeah. Well, you just said what James Clear said, which is, we don't rise to the level of our goals. We fall to the level of our systems. And that's what I used as the basis this week. And amen to feed the 1%. So apparently that's an important one for you too. And I'm telling you just articulated that as best as anybody could. And, you also just explained like what's sexy is to learn and think about like cool stuff, or sorry, what is sexy, what the world views as sexy is like the actual achievement of whatever that thing is that most people dream up. Right. But like when you break the process down of what's required to actually do that, that's not sexy to people. They don't want to hear about that. And we're the complete opposite here. That's extreme. That should be the most sexy thing that you learn more about every single day. And that's why we do the work we do. Again, the model is learn, implement, fail, evolve. And so many people just want to stay stuck in the learning phase, questioning, asking, thinking. And it's just like, man, stop.
Go to work.
Go to work. You'll have breakthroughs through failure and just all that process. And that is, key to your evolution as a person is to go do that. And you just explained that and articulated your experience perfectly. And everybody's got to have their own experience, man. But my encouragement there, my invite, the actionable is like, get off the fence of thinking, like just go out and do. If you have an answer, if you're scared about it, great. Like run at it just a little bit tomorrow and then a little bit more the next day. That's the whole feed the 1%, right? And so that's why that's just why it's such a crucial, habit, which is also a mentality, right? The way I set myself up in terms of the way I think and view the day. And that's my WTM dude routine. It's designed around those things. Like, again, physically, my body, mentally, intellectually, like I'm getting a little bit better every day. And at worst, I'm maintaining, but I'm not going backwards. Like I can't afford to take a break, right? Because that's where atrophy happens. That's where all that work in the gym quickly dissolves. And that's a prime example we talk about it, right? Like it's everything else works that same way. So let's jump to the last one so we can close it out though. The last one that I would put here from the list is just be a little ignorant. This has been extremely impactful in my life.
I like that.
Coming from a person who is I would say I'm a people person. I like people. I also think that I have a root. I think we all kind of have a factor of some sort. But mine was pretty deep rooted. I'm an oldest child. I'm an oldest cousin. I had good parents that were involved. I was always involved in sports and other things, and usually found a way to excel in those areas, but not for my own desires, unfortunately. A lot of the time it was because I just wanted to make people proud, right? And I wanted to be that person. I wanted to make people happy. And, that was a real battle for me as I became an adult. And so this skill right here has been extremely impactful in helping me, especially as what I would say all of us listening are high achievers by nature. And now we're strategically trying to become better high achievers, better versions of what we are. And for me, this has been crucial in becoming a better version of what I am. And that is, just developing the skill of being ignorant. And I know that sounds weird, but there's, and it's easy to think about that in terms of like somebody that's going to be rude to you and like talk negative to you. But it's extremely important skill, not just for that, but it's also like you're going to face people because of your desire to continue to achieve and be a high achiever and get better. And there's going to be people that view that as like ungrateful. There's going to be people that view that as like, well, when is enough? And there's going to be people that view you inappropriately. Like they're completely wrong. And they're going to say some things that are hurtful, but they actually are saying them with what they are either tricking themselves into believing or truthfully believe is like loving. And it's not. It stings. It hurts. But you know what? The better you get at it, ignoring certain things and not placing value on that, the less it stings, the less impactful it is. In fact, it doesn't even feel like a speed bump at some point, the more and more you practice this skill. And so I'm just grateful that at this point in this stage in the game, like I'm extremely comfortable with who I am. I've conquered, or I'm continuing striving every day to try and conquer that, yearning to want to like please somebody and instead do what's right, stay true to who I am and what I'm trying to become and what I'm trying to produce and achieve, because it's all rooted in core values that are totally. And so it's just like, be that skill right there, ignorance, like selective ignorance. And again, I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean, in a very impactful, positive way. Both people who are just extremely rude and trolls online, whatever, that's like the normal thought that people have. But I'm talking even people who love me and are around me, dude, if I want to sustain that relationship, which most of the time I do at some level, this has been key in me and being able to sustain that relationship, change the nature of the relationship, and continue moving forward and not be held up by my own problem of the way I'm perceiving that. Because I used to point the finger and say, well, like, you jerk, like why waste time anymore? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And it's like, I truthfully can say that now that it doesn't matter, but it did. And so if you're somebody who struggles with that, this is something to really focus in on. Stoicism is one of those things that has really helped me too. We talked about Ryan Holiday, just diving into philosophy, the Stoics, lots of other avenues too. But dude, at the end of the day, be a little ignorant. It's super important.
I love it, bro. I love how you brought in Ryan Holiday there at the end, dude, because he teaches, obviously this is one of Marcus Aurelius's teachings, but it's you always have the option to not have an opinion. Always have that option to not give any emotion to anything, or not give any emotion to anything, but not give any emotion to certain circumstances, right? So like you're talking, be ignorant to some circumstances and some situations. It's exactly that, dude.
There's another way I learned it.
At certain times, just don't give it your attention. Don't give it your emotion. It's always, you always have that option to just not care.
But you have to literally adopt that truth, because a lot of people don't view that as a truth. Because they're so far out of control of the things they can control. And so another way that I learned it that really impacted me even prior to Ryan Holiday, Marcus Aurelius, and Stoicism was the dude's name is David A. Bednar. It was a talk in my church that I read a long time ago. And it was titled, "Thou shalt not be offended," and or something like along those lines. And it literally talks about how offense is, basically, he broke it down that everything is choice, right? Like even being offended, like nobody caused you that,
right?
You caused yourself to be offended. And all the derailment that happened post your choice to be offended is actually your fault, not the individual who caused it, who you think caused it. Because again, that's a choice. That's an agency factor. And so, dude, that was instrumental in me figuring it out. And then couple that with learning more about Stoicism, Marcus Aurelius. I mean, every avenue you can go, I guess that's an action in of itself. Is like every avenue you can go to learn more about these things and learn from other people's experiences, and then go dive deeper into it. Like we try to do here on these Saturday extended cuts. That's part of your job too. Go learn, go do your homework, and then, test it out.
Yeah. Dude, I just want to add one thing to that. Not being offended. Thou shalt not be offended, or however you articulated that. I like that a lot. Dude. You at the end of the day, you get to decide what you do with that emotion. But I also think it's very important that you understand what brought that emotion. You know what I mean? You really dissect it and take it a level deeper. Why do I feel this way? Do I really need to be upset about this? Why am I upset about this? And then you can start to work on yourself too, and like realize, oh, these are my morals. This is something that makes me mad. Why is this making me mad? Oh, it's because this is really important to me.
Self-discovery.
That's why it made me, you know what I mean? So you can use those circumstances as self-discovery rather than just blowing it off and not being offended, because then you kind of bottle it up too at that point.
That's really important, because that's where I figured out how I was such a people pleaser, is because I started to dive deeper into those things. And I'm like, oh, this is the issue. Like I was able to pinpoint the issue where it was like, this is why, you know? And so I couldn't agree more.
It's awesome. Dallas, thank you so much for your time, man. We touched on a lot of things today. We talked about a lot of really good things today. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your knowledge. Appreciate you so much, my man. Is there anything you want to add as we wrap up here?
No way. That's good. Great exit point there. I love touching base with you every single weekend. And again, keep them coming our way, guys. We've seen a ton of influx in ratings each week. I mean, I think we saw like a 4% increase from last week to this week, which is huge, And I did hear you guys on the Aloha Friday, and we talked about tagging and sharing and purpose behind it, and being purposeful and intentional with those shares. And dude, I just want to drive that home. And I loved how Tyler articulated, you and Ty. That is, I mean, like, again, from a selfish perspective, that's payment. Like that is our form of payment. Like to be able to see the impact it's having on you and your circle. And I mean, there's nothing that brings a bigger smile to my face. And that's the honest truth every day, is when I jump on and see people sharing, and helping and caring. Sharing is caring. There we go. We use that corny line, but it's true. So please just freaking blow it up out there. Tag us so we can see it. And we want to continue to reach as many human beings as we possibly can, because collectively, when we figure these things out, that's how we're going to change the world. I believe that wholeheartedly.
I agree 100%. Dallas, thank you so much for your time again, my man. Thank you everybody for tuning in and listening today, whether it's the weekend, morning, night, evening, whenever it is that you're listening. We're grateful that you're here and that you're listening. Please implement these things that Dallas teaches. It's so powerful and can really change your life. It's changed mine. So I love it. Dallas, thanks again, my man. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Take care, y'all.